Jan is the only survivor on a barren island. This is no ordinary island, though, since Jenn is being pursued by a shark man thing. How the story goes will begin at the beginning of the film. Spoilers for sweethearts, keep an eye out and be cautious. A lady called Jenn Kirsty Clemens washes up on a remote island, and when she regains consciousness, she discovers a guy she recognizes called Brad Benedict. Samuel washed up nearby, and Brad has a huge piece of coral protruding out of his stomach. Jenn attempts to cure Brad's wound, but he dies from his injuries before dying. Brad inquires, "Did you see it?" Jan is alone on the island. She takes a flare gun from Brad's life vest and investigates the small island, discovering items left by a previous stranded family. Jenn discovers a small box of matches and their belongings after a storm at night, and she discovers a number of dead fish washed up on the shore. Jan also discovers a mangled dead shark with massive gashes down its side as she travels the island. Jan discovers the graves of individuals who were stuck there before her. Jenn then buries Brad along the beach and builds a fire with one of the matches to cook some of the fish she found on the beach. Jenn thinks she must not be alone the following morning when she discovers Brad's grave open and his corpse stolen, despite the fact that no one else is on the little island. Jenn immediately makes herself a spear. The next day, Jenn sees some of her luggage and other items floating just off the island. She swims out to retrieve them and sees a gigantic hole in the bottom of the ocean just off the shore. That night, Jenn hears a plane fly overhead. She shoots off a flare to no avail. As the flare descends to the ocean, Jenn sees a creature's silhouette. Andrew Crawford emerges from the sea and onto the shore. Jan hears the monster making noises as it moves near the trees where she is hiding. This is undoubtedly the creature that snatched Brad's corpse, which the creature does not discover. Jenn and retreat to the ocean. The following day, Jenn tries to swim off the island by floating on her luggage and life vest, but it is too unsteady. She finds a hollow log to sleep in. Jan is awakened at night by the creature attacking the log, but it eventually loses interest and goes away. When daylight returns, Jenn kills a tiny shark with her spear and suspends it from the top of a big tree before hiding in a nearby hole she made in the sand. Jenn falls asleep, and when she awakens, she notices that the thing has removed the shark from the tree and likely devoured the body of another person. Jenn knows floats ashore. She ties the corpse to the top of the trees and lies in wait again. This time she stays awake long enough to watch the creature emerge from the ocean. It is enormous, easily reaching the corpse suspended towards the top of a tree. It is also clearly very strong despite the fact that another plane flies overhead. Jenn cannot communicate with the monster on the coast because it consumes the body and returns to the water. Jenn erects a hammock on the tops of several trees as far inland as she can, hoping that the hammock would protect her from the thing. Late that night, the creature ventures inland, finding and knocking down the hammock. Jenn flees for her life with the creature swimming just off the shore to keep up. It jumps back ashore and Jenn stabs it with her spear. The creature knocks Jenn aside and advances on her, but a thunderclap scares the beast and it flees back into the ocean. The next day, Jenn sees a life raft floating just off the island honoring two more people she knows: her boyfriend Brad's girlfriend Mia and Lucas Emery Cohen. Hannah Mangan Lawrence. They come ashore and embrace. Jenn urges them to flee the island as soon as possible. On the raft, she tells them about the monster almost dying while trapped at sea and thinking Jan is delusional. The other two refuse to leave. It is established that the boat they were all on together sank. Mia and Jenn talk about their experiences. Mia claims that dying on the raft would be hell, but Jenn claims that remaining on the island is even worse. When Lucas and Mia refuse to leave again, Jenn attempts to leave the raft on her own, but the other two catch her in the process and knock Jenn senseless. Jan has recovered. When she is tied to a tree at night, she immediately starts rubbing the rope that is restraining her against the trunk in order to tear it and liberate herself. Mia discusses how Jan is untrustworthy owing to previous happenings on the island and how she does not think the monster exists. Lucas tries to talk to Jenn alone, but the couple starts arguing. It becomes clear that the others on the boat were Lucas' friends, and he brings up that Jan had a bad attitude on the boat and threatened to break up with him. Lucas starts yelling about how Jan has no place to live, no money, and no life without him, and he is incensed that after everything he does for her, she would abandon him on the island. Jan seems unconcerned about all of this and just wants to get fired. The pair hears Mia screaming and the beast growling, and Lucas hurries towards the cries, where he discovers the thing assaulting Mia. He attempts to beat it off with a light, but it smashes him away. Jenn breaks free from her restraints and runs to the shore just in time to see Mia being dragged into the sea by the creature. The next morning, Jenn convinces Lucas to flee on the raft with her. The couple lights a fire using the last match and cooks all the fish they have left. They load up the raft and set off. The raft is attacked by the creature despite the fact that they shoot flares at it. The creature pierces the bottom of the raft and drags Jenn into the water. Jenn stabs it with her pocket knife, and it lets her go. Lucas attempts to assist but is assaulted by the monster as Jenn looks on helplessly as it takes Lucas and carries him into its pit. Jenn enjoys swimming. Back on the island, She discovers the destroyed raft beached on the sand and rescues the fire, knowing she has no other option. Jan starts preparing to fight the creature by making multiple spears and setting a bunch of fires. She then writes a letter detailing her time on the island in case she does not survive, noting that people have had a problem believing her entire life, but that they must believe her about this. That night the creature emerges again. Jen surrounds it with fire and stabs it several times. It eventually smashes her, knocking the wind out of her. She recovers. Finally, the creature collapses from its wounds, and Jen impales it with a spear. Jen decapitates the creature so she has proof of her tale, and the camera pans out to show 1/3 of the island on fire as a result of the battle. Victorious on the beach, but yet without a way out,